Hey guys, I'm Brad of Brave the Woods, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about overcoming creative block. It's that pesky little part of your creative process that holds you back from having unique creative ideas or even just getting inspired to create in the first place. So let's talk about that. Okay, so out of full transparency, I'm making this video for slightly selfish reasons. I've been dealing with creative block lately, and you may not really notice it throughout the work that I'm putting out. You may, from the outside looking in, it may seem like, oh, look at all this stuff that he's creating and it looks super creative. But in reality, there's these hours of time that I'm trying to put into each of these projects. And when I'm doing it, I feel like they should be shorter sometimes because I'll sit there and beat my head against a rock trying to come up with new ideas, but I'm using the same methods and the same process. And I'm not stepping out away from my desk or trying different things. I'm just kind of going with what I know because I'm trying to pump out some awesome solutions. And as a creative, that's really, really hard sometimes, and you can get burnt out or hit that wall, which is what I call creative block. Last week, I actually got to go to Creative South, which is this really, really awesome conference that you come away super, super inspired and usually with a whole lot more friends, which is what I go to those for. I mean, they have great lectures and great workshops as well where you can come away with new skills. But for me, it's really about getting away from my normal environment and rubbing shoulders with really talented folks, which is a great opportunity. So if you're interested in Creative South, and I really recommend all sorts of those types of conferences, but Creative South itself is one of my favorites and I go every year. It's in the beginning of spring each year in Columbus, Georgia. So if you're interested, you should look it up. But while I was there, it was a really awesome opportunity for me to kind of pick the brains of some awesome, talented folks. So I met with so many of them, and I had decided to ask everybody one question. I tried to get a handful of these creatives and ask them one question. How do you get over creative block? What's one creative way that you get over creative block? And the answers were actually really, really cool and diverse. So I felt like that would be a little bit more beneficial to you than just me spouting off all the ways that I overcome creative block. I want you to listen to some of these that come from very, very talented individuals.
My best tip for breaking the creative block is I like to go on walks, and usually just getting outdoors for a little while, it clears my mind. And so when I get back down and I'm looking at my work, what I thought was terrible and I was ready to trash it, actually looks better, and I start seeing things I need to fix. So that's really my best tip.
My biggest thing is I go to the local ice rink if I can, and I go skate because you can't think about anything else but yourself in the ice, otherwise you wipe out. So
What kind of skating? Is it you play hockey or?
No, I figure skate. I do ice dance. So, and you can't get confident out there because if you get a little confident, you fall down. If you think about anything but what you're doing, you fall down. So it's a very humbling experience, but it's also a great way to force myself to clear my mind so that I can get out of creative rut.
Hire yourself. Straight up and down. Hire yourself, create a creative brief, execute that project as if you're working it for somebody else, and they'll tend to get you out of the funk.
I'm a weird person. I don't really believe in creative block. A lot of times what'll happen is you're tired, you're thirsty, you hadn't drank enough water today, maybe you haven't eaten, maybe you haven't slept too good. Take a 20-minute nap, go for a walk, do something other than that. Just kind of refresh yourself. A lot of times all your creative stuff is already there. You already know what you have to do, but you're so tired or thirsty or hungry or whatnot that you just can't get to it. So take care of yourself a little bit and then come right back to it.
Well, for me, it's a little bit specific, but I will draw a free surprise portrait of somebody on Instagram who is crushing it and might need a little bit of celebration in their life. So I do that. It makes their day. It makes my day, and maybe others.
I think the easiest way to do that would be to work with a medium that you aren't doing professionally. If you are a professional illustrator and you just do stuff on an iPad, or maybe you work in Adobe Illustrator, get out and work with real oil paints, or go out and sculpt something, make pots and things with your hands, or maybe you are a painter and maybe you need to do something creative on the piano or work with music. I think it's important to have many creative outlets, and if you're stuck in one creative lane, to go to this lane. You don't even have to be good at that lane. Just to have those brain neurons like firing on all cylinders, but in a different medium. I think it'll help release some of that traffic and tension in the lane that you want to go in, and you'll be able to open up and get that creative block out of the way.
The way I get over creative block is I go out and get on my bicycle. So it means I got to get out in the open air and just be on my bicycle, thinking about nothing but just what's around me, and it just opens up my head and my heart to new ideas.
One way I get out of creative block is I have a core set of things, concepts, art styles that inspire me. I'm a big fan of retro vintage action figures from the 80s. That brings me back to my childhood. And I am an avid toy collector, so sometimes I keep a room downstairs with my toy collection. I just go down there and kind of bask in it a little bit. And I'm also a big fan of skateboarding, and so I look at some of the art that inspired me when I was in middle school. V.C. Johnson, Jimbo Phillips. I look at these artists who have continually inspired me through sort of like every epoch of my life. So be familiar with the kinds of things that inspire you, and keep those handy, and return to those over and over again to continue to feed your inspiration.
Well, I like to just get out of the house because we work from home. So I just like to be in nature and like go on a trail. We live in Florida, so the weather's, good for that. So if you live in the snow, I don't really know what to tell you. That's what I do.
One thing that I do is I like to draw things that I know how to draw, so like a skull or a snake or something like that. So it reminds myself subconsciously that I know how to work, and it kind of gets me out of thinking about the thing that I'm supposed to be creating, right? If I'm trying to figure out a logo that needs to have a tree in it, but I can't figure out how to do the tree, I draw the thing that I instantly know how to do. I know how to draw a skull, so I can do that, and maybe that'll snap me back into the process of actually creating something that's not on my brain currently.
Going to antique shops always gets the fires burning, and just seeing lots of cool old stuff, type and illustration and toys and all that's usually gets the inspiration going.
So the thing I do is I talk to other people and I help them solve their problems, and talking to other people helps me get ideas for my problems. So I'm not thinking about me, I'm not in the moment, and I'm able to help somebody else and help me at the same time.
I think that just get away from the computer. Come to events like this, like Creative South. Go outside, go for a walk. Like literally just step away from everything and listen to...
Are you doing a video?
Yeah, right now.
In the middle of the thing?
Right now. I'm doing it.
Mom turned down my music.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's just important to get away from the computer and go be around other creatives or be around other people.
I actually do free writing, word association stuff. I write down a bunch of images instead of drawing things. I just write types of content, of things I might be interested in making, and then I also write down limericks and words, and actually just a whole list of sayings and phrases and those kinds of things that usually break me out of creative block. Because I think of design more as ideas, and the medium is design. But the idea is really what's the most important thing. So I think free writing and word association stuff has always worked for me. But I don't know anyone else who does that. And I just gave it away.
There's the secret right there.
Yeah, it's the sauce.
So I don't know about you, but those are really helpful tips for me. A lot of them we kind of think about just like, okay, we always say just step away from the computer. But what does that mean? Like what else could you do beyond stepping away from your computer? And I thought those suggestions are really good. And some of them are really personal and really specific to them, like ice skating or riding your motorcycle. And I thought those are really great too, because there's not this one size fits all for getting past these creative slumps or blocks that we run into. So hopefully for you, you're able to take away some of the essence of some of these ideas that were shared, and you can come up with your own. And if you do already have some that you're using and please share them with us. You have the comments below to help out this community of creatives. So if you have any great ideas for overcoming creative block, please put those in the comments below. Okay, so now it's my turn. One tip for getting over creative block is giving yourself restrictions, adding more restrictions to your project. Now I know that sounds a little counterintuitive, but just imagine when you get a client brief, you already have some built-in restrictions, like you have to work within their brand. So they have brand colors and brand type, and you have to kind of work within that. So it's starting to narrow it down. You don't have to think about all the type in the world. You just got to think about that typeface and how to use it, which narrows down that significantly. But sometimes even then you get clients that will say, you know, we give you full creative liberty. We trust you to do whatever you want with this, even though we know that's all a lie, and it's still a kind lie. They really do care. But that, for me, is one of the worst things they can say to me, because it's so broad and it doesn't help me get over my creative block, because I don't even know where to start. If you have every color in the rainbow, every typeface available, you can use any of those, and they don't care, and you have no direction, then I feel like that's super, super hard to get out of your own head and try to like narrow it down to some solution. So adding some restrictions, say, I'm only going to use 2 colors. The client didn't ask me this, I did it. It may not work, but I can try it. So I'm only going to use 2 colors. So now I don't have to worry about all the colors. I just have to worry about 2 colors that match up together. And that's a big help. And then, you know, go down to everything. Say like, I'm going to use this program. I'm going to use this medium, whatever it is. Start adding self-imposed restrictions to narrow down the options. And when you do that, you start taking away their tools. You start getting creative, and you start saying, oh, well, I can't use all the colors. I can only use 2 colors, but I want multiple values. So I'm going to start putting in some halftones or some other textures to make it feel like there's more values. So that's just one tip that I use constantly. And sometimes it works with clients, but you can definitely do it with your own personal projects. Like Rob Zilla had mentioned, you know, making a brief for yourself and sticking to it, and making sure that those restrictions help narrow down so that you can actually come out with a really cool outcome. But that's my tip. All right, so I got to give a big shout out to all the creatives who shared some awesome wisdom with us and some ideas on how to get out of creative block. That was a huge help to me. I hope it was to you as well. So thank you so much for watching. Again, if you have some ideas yourself that you use, put those in the comments below. That'll be really helpful for everyone watching, and for me, which I'll really appreciate. And as always, if you're new here, please subscribe. And for those of you who have been here for a while and been following along, thank you for liking and commenting and being a part of this awesome community. It means the world to me, and I hope you go out and you can just create to create, and we'll see you next time.